Scott Mitchell here with It's My Game speaker highlights. Remember, It's My Game Kids Tennis Conference is a global virtual conference for any of you that have a passion for kids tennis. August 14th to the 23rd. You can go to the website conference.evolve9.com to register. Like I said, it's a global conference. We have over 20 speakers, over 40 hours worth of content. And if you do the VIP package, you get access to this and much more for at least a year's period of time. So go to the website today and register. Today, I'm talking to Ash Smith from the UK, founder of Pitch, inspirational presentations, along with a performance developmental coach. Ash, welcome.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I mean, you know, I look at your bio and all the different things that you've done. You've done so much in our industry. And right now, though, you spend a lot of your time working with elite athletes and organizations and really plugging in systems and processes to help them be successful. So explain a little bit about that process and what you're working on these days.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, ultimately, tennis has been, you know, like all of us, I guess, involved in the conference, it's been my life. So I started playing when I was 5, coaching when I was about probably 12, 14 or something like that, when I realized that being a player was definitely not a career for me. I you know, very quickly discovered that I loved teaching other people more than I loved kind of playing myself. So I started coaching from quite an early age, and it became a full-time career, and has kind of, it's always been there in the background. Even now, you know, when I'm sort of doing a lot of public speaking and corporate work and things like that, I'm still on court for 20 hours a week, something like that. I just love being out and working with players, and especially working with kids and helping them on their journey. But sort of through that sort of 20 plus years of full-time coaching, I've been very privileged to work with a lot of, you know, as you said, a lot of great athletes, players playing full-time. I was national coach or a national coach for the Great Britain wheelchair tennis program for about 8 years. And so through that, I got to work with lots of incredible practitioners in psychology and behavior change and leadership. And, you know, I got to spend some days with the SAS, you know, your equivalent of sort of the Navy SEAL teams, that kind of thing, doing some leadership training and stuff. So I've been very privileged to work with a lot of great people and steal all their best ideas, package them together and use that within the context of tennis and beyond to help people achieve their full potential.
So as you work with elite athletes or even these organizations, what are some of the elements or the takeovers that you see from all the different areas, different athletes, maybe even different sports, but also, like you said, the success you had with wheelchair tennis? What are the things that you tend to work on that get them to really be successful?
It's interesting. There's everybody you sort of work with will come at it from a different perspective, and they'll have different goals and different objectives that they want to achieve. But ultimately, it comes down to somewhere along the line, they want to change the behavior. So there's a behavior in the system somewhere that's holding them back or stopping them achieving or whatever it is. So I'm very, very much a believer in the idea that if you want to behave differently, you have to think differently. And so actually, it's getting to that cause of, well, what do I need to do to think differently? What are the things I'm thinking now that are holding me back or stopping me or the system or the process going where it needs to go? And then how can we change that process? What things can we put in place to help us think differently so that we behave differently? And we see that, you know, within our sport of tennis, you know, every player in the top, I don't know, 100, 150, 250 can hit a really good tennis ball.
Right.
They all play incredibly good technical tennis. So what is it that makes the top 10%, the top 5%, the top 3% better? And it's that they understand how to think differently, to behave differently when it really matters. So yeah, it's a fascinating area. It's one I love exploring. Right. It's something I'm very keen to bring to the table.
So when you think about working with elite athletes, and I think a lot of times coaches are thinking about, you know, it's more of the playing of the game, and they don't necessarily focus enough time on the mental side, right? And making sure that they're constructing points and understanding that side. How much time do you spend with maybe a tennis player under the age of, or maybe the first question is, at what age do you start working on the mental aspects? And then how much time should you be spending with them?
I think for me, I'm very keen, and this is one of the things we'll touch on sort of in the presentation I'm going to deliver, is that for me, it's about building those things into, I guess, what you would call your normal lessons. So my approach to teaching technique and tactics and even, you know, some of the physical stuff is it all links to mental skill related goals. You know, so teaching technique isn't necessarily about telling someone how to do the thing. It's about creating an environment that allows them to explore solutions to a problem. And I think once you start to look at teaching sport and teaching tennis in that way, some of those mental skills become more apparent and they become more ingrained from an early age without you specifically having to, you know, lie them down on the couch and have a therapy session.
Right.
It's more about building those skills into your way of working, I guess, your teaching system or your teaching method. And there's no reason why you can't start doing that from a really early age, you know, from a sort of a red ball kind of stage and above. You can start to put some of those really basic concepts in place. And that's one of the brilliant things about the Evolution Kids Tennis sort of setup is that, you know, we have our performance behaviors and they do sort of wrap themselves around everything we do as part of the program.
Yeah, and I think
again, if you come on the conference, you'll see that.
Yeah, and I think those that don't know the Evolution program should tune in for that. It's a lot of great information.
Yeah,
so you mentioned your presentation. Share a little bit about your presentation, what coaches will take from listening to you during that August 14th to the 23rd conference.
Sure. So the big sort of, my sort of little keynote bit of it, I guess, is we're going to be exploring some stuff around motivation, about kind of basically why kids play, you know, why, and especially in this sort of new, slightly strange world that we're emerging from slowly, and certainly in the UK, we're gradually getting back to being on court more often and starting some group tennis and some summer camps. And obviously for you guys in the States, I think you're in various different places,
yep,
states you're in as to how much operation you've got going. So we want to have a little look at, you know, as we come out of that situation, why kids want to be on court, why do they want to play? But more specifically, how that impacts you as the coach, both when you're on court delivering coaching sessions, but also in the club environment itself. So what can you do around the club environment to help fulfill some of those motivational needs and also back them up on court? So hopefully then we get more kids into your programs, they stay in your programs for longer, and they become a more valuable member of the tennis community that you're creating. If we get a little bit of time, and if Mike's feeling nice and lets me, we might touch a little bit on some of the psychology of influence and how you can influence behavior change. But I think Mike might be a bit strict and keep me to a time limit. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, hopefully not, but this is the kind of information I think that there's so many coaches around the world or directors of tennis that are really overseeing programs. This is the kind of information that's going to excite them for sure. So I appreciate your time, Ash. I know I'm excited to see your presentation. Is it going to be more on court? Is it going to be more of a PowerPoint presentation? What kind of style is your presentation going to be?
I think for this one, it'll probably be, like I said, I want it to be stuff that people can actually go and use. You know, yep, it's things that I want coaches to be able, or coaches or tennis directors or facility directors to be able to go, yeah, actually, we can go and action that right now. I would love to be more practical on court, but I think, again, with where we are in the UK at the moment, I think the practicality of filming on court is going to be tricky.
Yep.
So I think it may well be more PowerPointy than I would ideally like. But hopefully we'll weave it in such a way that people will still take away the core information, you know, that's really going to help them get more players staying in their programs for longer and providing more value to the facility.
Awesome. Well, Ash Smith, I appreciate your time. Everybody that's watching this, remember, go to the website, conference.evolve9.com to register. We still have a few days with our discounts, but go to the website, register today, and join us August 14th to the 23rd. Ash, thanks again.
Scott, my pleasure. Hopefully see everybody at the conference.